Hi everyone. For those who took time to join us today, thank you for joining us today. And if you stumble into this broadcast today we are going to talk about something that is normally easily said than done. We are talking about forgiveness today. We're not just talking any other forgiveness. We are actually talking about the road to forgiveness. The reason we call them a road to forgiveness because everybody has a way to do it, and there's normally a path towards the section of forgiveness. My name is Kennedy Maikuma. I shall be a moderator for today. In my panelist, I have genocide survivors of 94 against the Tutsi, and they are going to talk about forgiveness. Because if anybody can tell us about forgiveness, my panelists, at least they're not there yet, but they're the perfect guests to talk about forgiveness. And before we go along, I would want to introduce them. We'll start with one of our own, our upcoming author, Josiane, will be the first one to introduce herself. Then from there we shall move on. Thank you. Josiane, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Ken, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Josiane Umulinga. I am a Rwandese and a genocide survivor. I am a mother of 3 beautiful children. Currently, I live in Nairobi, Kenya, and I have an upcoming project. I'm writing a book about my story. Thank you, Ken, for this opportunity. God bless you all.
Thank you, Josiane, for that quick introduction. The next one I'm going to introduce into my panelist will be Larissa. Larissa, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Aline. I live in Uganda. I was born in Huston. I'm a YouTuber. I get
Thank, thank you, Larissa, for that introduction. And before going on into the conversation, I'd like to introduce now our main author of the day. The whole, if you're actually joining us for now, you'll notice that it's written. The book tour, it is the, however much you're talking about the road to freedom, it is all under based on the book tour from bondage to freedom. And our author of the day today is Aline Umutoni. And I'll wish if Aline, you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody watching. My name is Aline Umutoni. It's an honor to be here with you today and to talk, to have this talk with you. My name is Aline Umutoni. I am an author of a book called From Bondage to Freedom: How God Turned My Pain into a Purpose and My Mess into a Message. So it's an honor to be here. I am a genocide survivor, and I'm excited to have this conversation about the road to forgiveness because it's a topic that is not very easy to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aline, for that brief introduction. As she has mentioned, today we are going to talk about the road to forgiveness. For some of us, it is, as I said earlier, it is something easy. The whole idea for the road to forgiveness, if somebody ever wrongs you, may it be betrayal or it may be something else, may it be physical or emotionally. Most of us, we are normally given the time that we're supposed to forgive. But there is no playbook for the forgiveness. Hence the topic for today for the road forgiveness. So if you are in a position where you are struggling with forgiveness, probably today may you be watching us live, may you have bumped into this one later in life, you've actually found the right life. I have more panelists who are joining us as they're going along. Right now, I've seen Mr. Hormisdas has officially joined us. He had some small technical difficulties, but he's back with us. So, Mr. Hormisdas, could you please introduce yourself to the viewers before we continue? Josiane? Oops, we lost him again. So we shall continue. He's having some few technical difficulties, but we shall continue without him. So my first question will go to my panelists about forgiveness. I'll start with Larissa. Larissa, you said when you're doing forgiveness, you said you are supposed to forgive because it's a stage of healing. So, what is it that you can actually tell in somebody who's actually struggling with that forgiveness perspective?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, sorry, I'll repeat the question. When we were talking with you earlier the other day, you had said that for you, when you think about forgiveness, you feel like you should always consider forgiveness as your first step towards healing. Where did you come up with that, such a saying, and why do you feel that one should be the same?
Yeah, forgiveness.
Hmm.
Because without forgiveness, you can't. And
Aline is very low.
yes, sorry. Without forgiving, you can't love, and without love, there's nothing you can achieve in life. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah. So it's a must to forgive because even in the Bible it is written that if we don't forgive, not forgiven, and no one is happy. So for us to give, we need to forgive in order to love, and with love we can move on with life. Because when you are back with hatred, you can never go anywhere. So we need to clean our hearts and free those who are close there so that we can move. So for me, the first step I think you have to forgive. There is no choice, even if you don't want to try it. So I started with it and helped me. So forgiveness is the key point. Is the first step in the process of healing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that brief introduction. I've noticed some of our panelists have joined us. I told you earlier, we have a bunch of panelists there. I've seen Honorable Harriet has just joined. Hello, Auntie. Auntie, you're on mute. Unmute, please. Thank you for
Good
joining us.
afternoon. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Auntie. Thank you for
And good morning,
joining
brother.
us.
To Aline.
Ah, perfect. So, Auntie, people, for those who just bump and you don't know who you are, please do a quick introduction. I have at least a minute to introduce yourself before we continue with the conversation.
So, very sorry I'm late, a bit late. I'm
Mhm.
called Sebera Harriet, a genocide survivor. I'm happy to be with you on this platform here. That's all. Let's continue.
Thank you, Auntie. As classy as usual, let but still maintain with the topic. So, for the remaining panelists, we are still talking about the road to forgiveness. Uh, I'll ask Josiane a question. Uh, Josiane, for somebody struggling with forgiveness, what is it that you can tell them as a person, individually, for yourself?
Thank you, Ken. Me, forgiveness, what I can tell, forgiveness is a journey and is a grace from God. Is a journey because of everyone hearts. Our hearts are different. And what we have passed through, they are different as well. So I can understand someone who is still struggling on forgiveness, but I can tell him, her, that is the better way to live a free life. Since I have said that forgiveness is a grace, I can ask him to seek for that grace of God, to seek God. He is God, He's the one who is giving that grace of forgiveness. That is courage. That is heart of forgiveness. What people has passed through a lot in their life. But only God, only God can give you that strength of forgiving. And by the way, we can forgive, not necessary to forget. We can't forget what happened to us, but we can forgive. Me, I believe in my coming book, I wrote that all what happened is a result of a fall. So when you come back to Jesus, is the Jesus who take your burden. So I will ask
Mhm.
someone who is still struggling to give that burden to Jesus, that
Mhm.
Jesus will carry his burden. He has done everything on the cross. So just take your burden to Jesus. He will help us the way he helped me. He loved. I will tell him that Jesus loved him so much, the way he loved me, the way I give my burden to carry, and then give me the courage of forgiveness. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Alice, she has given a good perspective into it. For those who are struggling with forgiveness, what I'm getting from Josiane is sometimes you can go to the spiritual realm for assistance. If you're a Christian, go to Jesus. For the Muslims, go to the other side, wherever you actually look for inspiration to. Aline, the next question
Yeah.
is going towards you. And I'm coming from a situation where the unthinkable has happened. For those who get to read your book, they know your story. They have been related to your story. So for you, most of the betrayal came from the most immediate family members. And I think the other day we were talking, you actually mentioned it in your book that some of the people who actually betrayed your parents were their own immediate family. So for somebody right now who has been betrayed by an immediate family member, and they are really struggling. May it be infidelity, may it be something that is unspeakable. What is it that it really helps you out that you can be able to share with them about that in terms of forgiving?
It's I think Josiane said, forgiveness is a process, and first of all, whenever you feel betrayed, and betrayal is something that is, it, they always say trust is easy to gain, but when it's lost, it's very hard to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get betrayed by your own family member, the people that are supposed to be the one that are the people that keep you safe, who are the one that hurt you the most, it creates a wall. It creates like a natural wall that any person would have, because as human beings, we tend to try to protect ourselves, because we try to protect ourselves the best way we can. Forgiveness for me, the way I see forgiveness is, first of all, we have to get it. Forgiving does not mean that the person, what the act of the person was okay. Or forgiveness does not necessarily mean that the person shouldn't get the consequences of their actions. But what it means that you don't have to stay hostile to their decision, to what they've infliged to you. Let's say if somebody experienced cheating, infidelity, or adultery, or any kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
forgiving the person who did that to you doesn't necessarily mean that the person did what the person did was okay, or doesn't necessarily mean that what the person did is completely like castle it, and then you forget about it. No, no, absolutely not. But it means that the pain that you are feeling right now, you don't necessarily have to carry it for the rest of your life. You can decide to say, you know what, it hurts, it's painful, but I'm going to take that pain and give it to God, and God will give me a purpose. So forgiveness does not mean that you are weak. Actually, forgiveness is for any person who's strong, is able to forgive. Forgiveness is not for weak people, because you have to make a decision. It's not something that comes naturally. You don't forgive naturally. No, nobody has that instant of forgiveness. It's a decision that you make yourself to do. And I feel like, as the topic is road to forgiveness, we have to first of all understand it's okay to be on that road for a long time, not to put a time on it, not to put a time on our healing, not to put a time on what we are going through, but to tell ourselves, you know what, I feel what I feel. I've been betrayed. I've been hurt. God, I can't do this without you. And again, I'm bringing back to God, because honestly, true forgiveness can only be given with the grace of God. True forgiveness cannot be given with the strength of men, because as human beings, we don't have the capacity to forgive like really to a human being. So for me, in the example in my case, because you know, like Ken said, my dad was killed by my relative on my mother's side. I was sexually abused by a relative on my mother's side. Like, I faced betrayal after betrayal. I lived for 3 years with one of the three men that killed my dad. It was betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. So how did I get to forgive? How did I get to love? How did I get to go from a place of bondage, of bitterness? How did I get to go to the prison and meet the person who ordered my father's death and look at him and forgive him? All of that cannot be done by my own strength. It wasn't because I was more gracious, more holy, more strong. No. It was the grace of God. I had gotten at the end of myself. I had gotten at the end of feeling, because you know, when you're not forgiving, you are sick. You are bitter. You know, bitterness is a sickness. You can't think. You are thinking about the person constantly, so you are stuck. And I was stuck. So I had told myself, why do I have to keep on being stuck for somebody who doesn't even care about what he did to me? This person doesn't even realize that he took my dad. This person doesn't even realize he took my virginity, he took my innocence. Why will I keep that person hostile in my heart and not leave and give that person the opportunity to take my life away, instead of surrendering my life and surrendering my heart and say, God, I can't do this. I need your help. And once I did it, oh my goodness, I felt freedom. And that's what I can encourage people. Encounter God, give him your pain, and he will help you to forgive. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. That's like I like the way you put it. Encourage your help and let them and give it to the Lord, and He actually will help you through it. And before we get into that, before we switch gear, there's something earlier. I had a conversation a while back with Auntie Harriet, and Auntie Harriet, Auntie, you had mentioned something very nice. You had talked about this perspective fact. But before I go to Auntie Harriet, I want to go back to you, Aline. You said that for you it was not as easy. So even in the process as you're going, for those who don't know Aline's story, you can follow it on a book. For those, when you are going to see the guy who actually organized the killing of your father, at that time, were you ready for forgiveness, or had you made the decision to forgive them before going there, or you are still struggling even while waiting for him to come see you? Because I remember you told me once you were speaking to the person, there was no remorse in them. They were a bit proud of what they actually had done before. So for that angle, were you able? Did you find it very hard? In short, I'm trying to ask you that when you're trying to forgive somebody, we are all humans. You have wronged me. I'm trying to forgive you so that I can move on. But in the process of me trying to forgive you, for some strange reason, you are really not cooperating. You are boastful about it. How was that for you? Did it make you struggle with your road towards that forgiveness part?
Yeah. So I did go. So if I have to reiterate,
Okay.
I was told. So I was told about what had happened to my dad. If you read my book, what my dad was killed when I was 5 years old, but I lived with one of the three people that killed my dad, and it's only when I was that 9.5 actually, when I was 9.5, that I found out that that person that I had called my uncle, that I looked up to as a father, as a father figure, was the reason why my father was not alive anymore. Now, it broke me as a little child, and it made me not trust anybody in my family. Um, Now, fast forward, so from the age of 9.5 to now in 2012 when I'm 23 years old. Okay, so now at that point, I had left the house of oppression. and I had gone back to Rwanda for the first time from the time I was 5, because I left Rwanda when I was 5 years old during the genocide against Tutsis of 1994. Now I'm going back. I'm grown up. I'm old enough. I'm mature. I want to heal because, of course, I went back to the home that my dad had. I went back to see. Actually, do you mind me actually sharing a story about forgiveness?
Please, please, it will help us. It is okay. It will really help us understand the part.
Okay,
Put
so
it in context, please.
yeah, so in 2012, I went back to Rwanda for the first time. And I would say the first time because I was born in Rwanda, but I left Rwanda when I was 5. So the memory of of my 5 year old thing was the terror of trying to survive, of seeing my father being killed, and seeing all the people that were killed along the way. So when I went back in 2012, I went back with the sense of like meeting everybody who survived. So I went everywhere. I tried to see all my aunts and uncles that had survived. But one of the most traumatic events that happened at that moment, and to talk to you about really the road to forgiveness in terms of, as a Rwandan person, forgiveness is completely different than, if somebody cheat on you, or if somebody hurts you, or if somebody does something. For us, forgiveness is deeper than what you can imagine. So I went to my grandfather's house to see his grave, because out of the 98% of my family that were killed in the genocide, on my father's side, my grandfather was the only one, the only body that we found, and they put they buried him decently. My father, to this day, I don't know where he is. So I decided to go and pay tribute to my grandfather, because I wanted to know what had happened and what happened to his life. So I am there, and I'm standing in front of the grave of my grandfather, and I'm mourning my grandfather. I'm thinking of my father that I have not been able to bury. So that grave was representing my grandfather, my grandmother who was thrown, my grandmother was thrown into the Rusumo River, the Rusumo, the river that is actually by the border of Rwanda and Tanzania. She was thrown there during the genocide. So I went to the river and I prayed over there. At least, I don't know where her body is, but her body was thrown in the water. So after that, I came to the grave to kind of like think about all the 98% who lost their life, and also pay tribute to my father. And as I'm standing and I'm grieving my grandfather, this man comes out, and they come and they hug me, and they say, "Hobera, hobera," whatever they say in Kinyarwanda. And as they leave, my uncle say, "Oh, these are the ones that actually killed your grandfather." You can imagine what it feels to be in front of the people, in front of the grave, and at the same time in front of the people that made the grave happen. Because my grandfather was not sick, my grandfather didn't have any sickness, my grandfather was cut to pieces and put in a hole right next to his house.
Mm-hmm.
So these people were released after the Gachacha courts, forgiven.
Okay.
Now they are
Mm-hmm.
living there. Now, when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about forgiveness, the road to forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it wasn't like I was ready to forgive them, because it was a shock.
Okay.
It was, it was a trauma to me.
Okay.
I couldn't even react. I had to get
Mm-hmm.
home and cry and weep to understand what had just happened. Now, after that moment, when I went to Butare to meet the man who ordered my father's death, that I was ready to forgive him, because
Yeah.
I had carried a bitterness towards him since I was nine years and a half. I had carried anger towards him. I had carried all these things, resentment, bitterness. And when I encountered Christ, when I became born again at 14, I knew that for me to be fully free, I had to let go of that. I had to let go of the bitterness and the unforgiveness. But because I had carried this man for all these years, I was ready to release him. However, the people that I met at the tomb,
At your
the
grandfather's
grave,
grave.
at my grandfather's grave, I was not ready to see them. So for me, it took
Okay.
me 5 years to forgive them. It actually literally made me afraid of going back to my grandfather's house. I couldn't. I have not gone to. I haven't gone back because I don't know how to. I'm still not. I don't know. I still don't know how I'm going to hug them. If I'm going to ask them why did they do that. I don't know. So forgiveness is a process, and I want to encourage people to understand. You saying I'm not ready to forgive doesn't mean that you are less of a Christian. Or doesn't mean, it just means that you need to allow the process to be. So for me, forgiving the man who was in prison, I was ready. Forgiving the two men that I saw, I wasn't. It was a trauma.
Okay. I see that. Actually, as you're talking about forgiveness and everything, and what you're going to see the people who actually castrated your father's demise, this got me thinking about Auntie Harriet scenario. Auntie Harriet, there's a while back I was talking to Auntie Harriet, and for those who don't know Auntie Harriet, she's one of those people. I think in this journey she's like, I know she will never agree, but she's a bit farther in the forgiveness journey than most of us. Connected to with me to this day. Auntie, you once told me that you forgave somebody not because they asked for forgiveness, just you forgave those who did you wrong, those who did not do you wrong, and those even who don't feel like they did you wrong. You've just forgave them for your own benefit. So, Angie, I want to understand, how do you get there as a person? Because we all struggle with something small. I want to understand, how do you get there as a person where you see Aline says for her scenario, the one who ended her father, she has gotten to that position of forgiveness. But when she went back to Rwanda, she learned that the people who actually killed her grandfather are now living in her grandfather's house. And she will be a human enough to say that she's not there yet, but she's struggling to get there. But Auntie, for you, uh, you forgave somebody who killed your husband even before you met the guy. For 15 years later, when you actually got a chance to get your husband's body to bury, you had to forgive them by that time. By the time you were meeting them at Kechacha, you already forgiven them. How did you arrive there? And what is it that you can tell Ken and anybody watching right now to arrive there? Auntie, on mute. You're giving me good words, but you're still on mute. Please unmute.
Sorry.
It's
Talking
okay.
about forgiveness, actually, um, it's very complicated and it's very challenging. When we talk about genocide, is a crime against humanity. So, talking about forgiveness, actually, during this period of mourning our beloved one, let us first excuse ourselves to some of our colleagues who may feel offended or who may feel that it's not the right time to talk about it. But actually, it is the right time to talk about forgiveness. You asked me how I reached there to forgive.
Yes.
Excuse me, a telephone is disturbing. Can you hear it?
Yes, it's okay.
Let me, it's okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, continue. We can still hear you.
I mean, the telephone is ringing. I don't know. whether what? Are you hearing it? I just
Yes,
want
I
to
can
go
hear
and
the
switch
telephone.
it.
Okay, just
Okay.
switch it off. While you come back, then you can pick up from where you have left. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually. Okay. Yes.
So first and foremost, as I told you last time, that when I decided to forgive, it was on my own good. Because when you don't forgive, you are always full of anger, bitterness, having a lot of headache every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling every time having a burden on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I believed that when I forgive, for those who did not even ask the forgiveness, I believe to forgive those who are not willing even to ask for forgiveness. I knew it was just on my own behalf, on my own good.
Mm-hmm.
I was very sure it was also on behalf of my country.
Okay.
It was also on behalf of those who killed my people. Because first and foremost, I believed that we should bring a change, or myself, I should bring a change. I felt it inside me that we should do something opposite as Tutsis has been, living for a long time. If we wanted to go for reconciliation, if we wanted to go for the progress of the country, if we wanted to go for the development. I'm not talking about spiritually. I'm just talking about the sense or reality or the truth.
To move forward.
To move forward.
Yes.
So, as Aline earlier mentioned, I was convinced that to forgive, when you forgive, actually you are on the opposite side. I mean, you are on the strong side, not the weakness one. Not the weak side. Sorry. When you forgive, you are on the strong side, not the weak one. And when you forgive, sometimes that's when I say that it's somehow challenging, because when you forgive those people who did not ask for forgiveness, sometimes they take it for granted and think that you are weak to forgive them.
Okay.
But we are rather strong to forgive those who did not ask for forgiveness, because we look forward in the future for our children. Even we have to build this country because of our children. We don't look just very near, but we look far to forgive for your children, for the future generation.
Okay.
So forgiving actually is not being selfish. So when you have a vision, you should not be selfish and look on yourself, at you only. You have to look to others also.
Okay.
And forgiveness also, it has a component of tolerance.
Okay.
If you can't tolerate your neighbor, or someone who killed your beloved ones, that means you will always be, planning to do something bad to the one who killed your people.
Yeah.
So it was a choice I made, I myself, and then finally being a Christian also, it played a big role.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Bible, if we believe in the Word of God, the Bible also, the Word of God tells us to love our enemies.
True.
So there is no way you can feel free without forgiving your enemies.
True.
Because Jesus also is a good example.
Yes.
Jesus is a good example to what happened actually to Tutsis who were killed during genocide against Tutsi in 1994. And by the way, it happened during also, it was Easter time. Eh?
Yes, actually.
We had gone from Easter, I think.
Yeah.
So when you look at the journey Jesus went through, he was betrayed by some of the people who were called the real friends of him, who were very near, who had shared the bread and
Fish.
and on fish or whatever. They were sharing everything. They could go with him in the hills, preaching the word of God, and by then they betrayed.
Yes.
And he was actually beaten, he was crucified, he was he was naked by those people. So they did everything shameful to Jesus. But then on the cross he said, I forgive you because you don't know what you are doing. So being a Christian also, it played a big role to me. But of course, it was also a bit difficult or a bit challenging because in this journey, I could be low or high spiritually. Whenever I get a trigger, it takes me back and ask myself, why should I forgive these people?
True.
By the time I start thinking, going back to think, why should I forgive these people? I could just feel my head very heavy and headache. You see, I could not go to sleep and sleep well. So I decided actually to be free, and forgive these people, because it was a burden to me. And actually, I found out if I don't forgive these people,
Yes.
they will be always controlling me whenever I go.
Totally well.
So I never wanted to give them a chance again to control my life.
Okay.
When you still with that anger, with bitterness, with the spirit of revenge, without tolerating, you are killing yourself, and
Okay.
you are giving them a chance to control you.
Okay.
So if you feel you don't want to be controlled by the enemies or the genocide perpetrators, let them go and be free. So I decided not to give them a chance to control me.
True.
I don't even have time to think about them.
Okay.
I don't need to think about them. Why should I? No. I have to think positively. I have to think how my children will be tomorrow. I will be having to teach them the right way to be with such people, because we've got a generation of 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 those who have their fathers and their mothers in the genocide, and yet they did not commit genocide. Those children could not be the victim of the wrong deed their parent did. They should
True.
not be they should not be the victim, because their future generation, they will be the future leaders of this country when we are gone. You see, for us who experienced genocide, we slowly,
Yes.
be dying, be going away. But then this country will be remained with our children,
True.
the children of genocide survivors, the children of the genocide perpetrators. They will
Yeah.
find themselves here in this country alone while we've gone.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important to think about forgiveness. And generally in Rwanda, even what helped the country, because here we are talking about our experience on this platform, but then we've got a society of genocide survivors. We've got a society of the perpetrators and their relatives. So the chance we had, we had also a goodwill of leadership that wanted to unite Rwandans, that wanted the country to be a good example, and wanted the country to go ahead, to progress, and so the institutions that could facilitate the reconciliation, the journey of forgiveness were set, and that also helped Rwandans to go through the journey or the road of forgiveness. I agree with you. It's a journey, because whenever you get a trigger, sometimes you are not in good moods, but since you've made a decision of not killing yourself with the spirit of the perpetrators, controlling you, you just pray and wake up, and then you start afresh, and the life continues.
Okay. Thank you,
Am I
Auntie,
right?
for that. You're very
Thank
right. Thank
you.
you. That there's something Auntie have really said is very important. That as a people, in that the last bit you said a very important thing. I think. Sorry, I have to repeat it, but you said children should not pay for the sins of their parents. So for somebody who is actually struggling forgiveness, if somebody has wronged you, Auntie has given you a very good thing. You can forgive the person who wronged you if their offsprings were not in charge of their person's mistake. Now, for this part, I really feel good about it, and I'm trying to pivot to something I want to ask Larissa. And Larissa, as a survivor of an abuse, and some of our listeners have gone through abuse and are really struggling, because most of the times people normally abuse us as people who are close to us. For your case, it was an uncle or somebody close to you, somebody you looked up to. The way Aline put it, a father figure kind of setting. So,
Sure.
for this person, Larissa, how are you able to look for a way to forgiveness? Have you forgiven them? Have you gotten to the position you have forgiven them? Or is it a journey you're working towards forgiving them? And what is it that you can tell somebody going through that?
Thank you. For me, it wasn't my choice. It was hard for me. It was my first time to share my story, and I was crying, narrating my story, how people betrayed me, how I was feeling. But the first thing they told me, and they kept on telling me, you have to first go and forgive. And I was like, but I didn't say sorry. How can I forgive? But they were like, first go and forgive. So the part that the story short, I went. It was hard. I didn't know what to do. That's why it's more of God. Because it's not from us. It's not by our power, but from God. When you are determined, God use your help. So I went. I got an opportunity to meet this man, and I told him, I told him, I forgive you. Wasn't it wasn't that hard because they told me if I don't forgive, then I won't bless. I will be an enemy forever, and I won't bless. My life will be a mess. So it was like they were like threatening me, but they were directing me into the right path. So I went back, talked to the man, but it's surprised. He told me, okay, it's okay. And remember, the person used to tell me every, I'll kill you if you say anything. And for me, I went and told him, I forgive you, and if you can forgive me for killing you, I killed you in my life. I know you are not a person. I thought you are a devil. I had killed you in my heart. So forgive me, and I forgive you. What I want to know the truth, I will tell. So I expected him to react and do something bad, but and he said, okay, it's okay. So the second person to tell as my mom, I went and told him, a mother, you feel like I will tell her she will feel pity for you, she will sympathize with you, she will cry with you. I was crying from the start to the end, and I told her, Mom, this and this happened, what I hate you with all my heart, this and this and this. But also she told me, okay, thank you for sharing. That was the worst thing to hear. I was like, how? I told her everything. So I went back to my pastor and told him, I forgave I told them I forgave them, and they were not supportive, they were not responsive, but they were not like, they didn't show that they were interested in my talk, or as in they didn't get to hear me. So my pastor was like, it's okay, you can move on. That is the first step. But even you were saying I forgive, as we had said, forgiveness is the process. So I forgave them, but I remember I said I forgave them, and I used to say it in church, God, forgiven her, forgiven her. That's what I used to confess every day. Please bless me, I've forgiven her. I think we could meet at home, and she said, what is this? And I knew maybe I let's see,
Larissa,
yes.
Larissa, sorry for cutting you short. Your voice is breaking a bit. The last part wasn't clear. Please repeat that. Sorry to rewind you for a second there.
Yeah, I was saying how I forgave, and after I realized I did forgive because I told them I forgave them. I was also disappointed that I forgave them, but they didn't show interest in working with me that journey. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So this is the person I used to stay with everyday life. So he would ask, "Hey, did you see my phone?" And I could say, no, I didn't see it. When I saw it exactly where it was, I knew that I didn't say I saw it. That showed me that I was still holding her in my heart. I was still hating her. I didn't even forgive her. I just said I forgive you, but I didn't. So for me, it was an exercise. It was a must. It was something I had to try. And I always say that that man, that very that very person who did that to me, today, he has never even told me to say sorry. And I remember when
Mm-hmm.
the story had gone viral, and that family divorced, like the wife divorced my auntie, and the kids were like, no, you are no longer our father. If you can do this, our sister, you can never be our father. And the man said it's okay. He never even said sorry. He said, I'm ready for everything which will come to me. So if I was to wait for him to say sorry so that I can forgive him, so I would stay bound with that hatred. I would stay bound with that. My life would remain a mess. So I think forgiveness, we need to forgive even when they don't say sorry, because maybe they will never say it, but we need it for our own, and I think it will help also them to calm down and say sorry. So forgiveness, for me, it wasn't a choice, it wasn't something I was willing to do, but I tried it, and with the grace of God, I happened to move and be in that lane, which I believe one day I will be somewhere. It's still a process, but I believe with God I will reach somewhere where I will be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. We are sorry for
Thank
that
you.
small technical. Sorry for that small
Thank you.
technical which we had there. Larissa
Yeah.
was talking about the ways she had to forgive, and even she forgave somebody at one point who was not really remorseful about what they did. And even despite the family saying whatever they did was wrong, they didn't actually feel like they had to. And I think it reiterates whatever Aline and Auntie were saying earlier, that it is good sometimes to forgive somebody, not for them, but for yourself. At least it gives you the opportunity for you to be able to actually get to that position. Now, she mentioned something about family and got me thinking about Josiane. Josiane, the question I'm about to ask you, it has nothing to do with the gender perspective, but is one on your personal family. There was a bit of a betrayal on your side as a lady of the house. So, how were you able to achieve to that position where, of that, last time in the introduction, you said it was the second wound after the say. So, what during your second wound, how were you able to come about and forgive somebody who actually betrayed the vows of your marriage and stuff like that? How were you able to handle it for your scenario? And what is it that you can tell somebody going through something such as infidelity in their house? How can you ask them, how can you guide them towards forgiving? What really helped you to get to that position?
Yeah, thank you. As as you will read in my book, it was a journey as well, because of is where I realized that is a repeating story. Look at now genocide, those people betrayed me. Look at now the husband, I was someone who has given my life when I was young. Look at, so I had to break that cast. Me, I say that is a cast in my life. I say from today, no more. No more betray. Okay, they can come, but I say no more people are going to hurt me. I purposely said I'm going to forgive them. As I said, me, I don't believe that is themselves. I look behind what they are doing. In Kinyarwanda, we have a very nice say. I don't know if I can interpret it. Aho kwica gitera, wakwica ikibimutera. Me, I looked. Why? Why a human being? When God created us, He didn't create killers, cheaters, robbers. You see, me, I went beyond to see why someone can do a such thing, why someone can kill someone he didn't give a life, why someone can cheat when he's not missing anything. You see, me, I went a bit beyond on the reason why. So from searching the reason why, I didn't have, I decided to say, you see, the person I'm seeing in front of my eyes is fine. The reason, now I'm fighting the reason. I don't want to fight the human being, the God creation. Because God creation, I want to call him what God called him to be, or God wants him to be. I try to see them in that image of God. When God
Okay.
see him, he's seeing him as a cheater, as a killer, as what? What God
No.
wants him to be, what God called him to be. So me, I
Uh,
tried to see them in that image of God,
Okay.
not seeing them or not looking them in the image of their sins is what helped me to forgive them.
Okay.
Yeah. And by forgive, you said that now when we are talking about families, I had even a big burden to forgive my in-laws.
Okay.
You see,
Why?
yes, let me explain it. In
Please
African
explain
society,
why. Yeah. Yes.
yes, in African society or a setup, you expect families to come in. To come in when the marriage is having a problem is what I knew, is what I did to my friends. So we expect family to come in to say, you know what, you people, you shouldn't do that. Try to help us not to go far or not to go to big extent. So my
Okay.
in-laws, their behavior was so funny, it's like they were okay, is it now where I got to know that they didn't love me, they didn't like me, they didn't. So because of, in Kinyarwanda again we say, usenyurwe umutiza umuhoro, is like saying that when we are destroying, Auntie help me to translate it. when we are destroying yours.
When someone is trying to destroy his home or to put on fire his home, you
Yes.
bring a matchbox. You can bring a matchbox and give it to him or her to put on fire his home. Yeah.
I think I've gotten it. It's like we are looking at a scenario where somebody is trying to burn their house. Instead of you coming to bring water, you come with a matchbox and the petrol, help set everything on fire.
Them burn their house.
You help with all your forces.
Oh, wow.
It is not yours, please do.
That is wrong.
Burn it to the ground.
So my in-laws is what they did in our marriage.
Oh, so they came with they brought the kerosene and everything
to make sure to make sure that is done. So after all those betrayers, I saw even now I had to forgive my in-laws. I said those people, when they were coming here, we were laughing. I was giving them presents. It's like buying love. I was doing everything to make sure that we are in good terms. But yet behind their minds was other strategy, is what I think. So when we say about forgiveness, I had to deal with many different corners of forgiveness, but I ask God, I don't want that people hurt me. I don't want to be in that, to have that burden of people, of what inside the people. So now when you are telling me what can I tell someone in such position, I will ask him or her to look that person in God's image. What God is calling that person. In God's image towards that person who wronged you. Then you will start seeing that person actually is not him. So what is making him? So you will hate what is making him to wrong you, not that person in front of you.
Thank you. I like that. I think I'll be using that for future reference when I'm dealing with somebody. I'll be like, I don't know which demon has bring you to my life right now, and I'm not dealing with this demon right now. Like Riswa, as in it's like go away, devil, as in Riswa, get away. As in, I think that's actually a good way to look at somebody, because
in the name of Jesus Christ.
In the name of Jesus, Riswa.
Yes, run away.
Where you feel like somebody is really testing every little nerve you have left with, even like a small one that is gone. I think for future reference, because you see, you'll be like, I'm trying to really get to that position, and for some strange reason, it's like you are not really helping this situation. At least let me get there first. So I think I'll try next time. For those who are actually joining us, the short version is that for next time somebody is really trying to wrong you so much, don't look at the perpetrator, don't look at the person who's doing the thing, look from him from from the image of his maker. His maker made them somebody nice. They are somebody nice. You have to think from a scenario where they have a family, so clearly they have to be that nice for somebody somewhere to love them. So you forgive them for that angle. I think that one is another way, a twisted but an easier way to help you with the road for the journey. So Aline, I have to ask you this question. There are very few things my other panelists have said. I'll mention to you and tell me if they really worked out for you. For for Larissa said the person who actually asked for forgiveness was willing to go anywhere. The uncle was like, "There's no way you can take me. Like, bring it on. Come, baby, come. As in, do whatever you have to do. Like, there's nothing you can do for me. For you, how were you able to handle such? Because I remember for your scenarios, the person who actually did do you wrong to your dad was boastful, and and he was speaking like, if given an opportunity, the idiot will
He
do
will
it
do it
again.
again.
As in, how? Why did you look at it from Josiane's perspective of like there's something nice in this person, I can learn to forgive them? Did you look at it from Auntie
No,
Harriet's perspective where Auntie Harriet's perspective of if I continue, Auntie Harriet and Larissa are saying if I carry this burden the whole long, I'll be the one who's really actually right now. I'm actually forgiving you for me rather than you asking
yeah,
for it because I need to. There's a heavy burden. Larissa
yeah,
said, Auntie
Be
Harriet had put
free.
it very nice. Be free, yes. Be free. Yes, that is, yeah. She quoted to the Bible the part where Jesus said, I forgave you for you do not know what you are doing.
yeah. I think
Were
for
you in
me
that
it was
position where you are forgiving them because,
I forget. So this is the thing. I think Josiane is the one who really like has the definition of true for like forgiveness in his thinking that, because I'm sorry but I have not gotten there. In all honesty, for me, going to the present was not for him.
Mhm.
It was for me.
You needed a
Because
closure?
I really needed to see this man in the
Mhm.
face and
Mhm.
release him. Because I think it's President Nelson Mandela who said that, and forgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping somebody else will die. So basically, you are drinking something that is deadly to you, but then you think that somebody else is going to face the consequences of you actually drinking that poison. First of all, my
Mm.
first remark of it is like this guy has no remorse of what he's done.
Mhm.
He has it's not like he's sitting in that prison cell and he's like, wow, I've killed all these people, I don't deserve this, I pray that God forgives me. No, 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 no. He's very proud of his background, he's very proud of
Mhm.
what he's done, and if he's released he will even do more or worse. So this is the thing, I had to do this not for him, I did it for me. I did it
Mhm.
because I needed to get free from it. I did it because I needed to trust in a man again. Now, for me to be able to explain to you why. Now, from the age of 5, every male figure has either killed or betrayed me. If you look at at 5, I lost my father, abandonment
Yeah.
issue. My father put me under the bed, never came back, abandonment. Then I survived the genocide. Then I get raised by this man for 3 years. He leaves me to run away. Abandonment issue. All the men that were in my life were
Mhm.
either abandoning me or betraying me or abusing me. So at the age of 16, the person who was a father figure started abusing me.
Mhm.
You see, so it was like that cycle of not trusting men. So I had become this person who was overly a feminist. Like I just believed that women was power. I just believe
Mhm.
that what, I don't need a man for me. Like men are just an accessory for me. So I had to get
Okay.
to a place to understand that men are not accessories. Men can
Mm.
be good men. Men can be people like that covering, that leadership and everything. So when I forgive this man and realize that he's not the representation of all men, that man I lived with 3 years was not the representation of all men. The uncle who
Yeah.
abused me was not the representation of all men. I could finally live a life of freedom, live
Okay.
a life of wholeness. So I didn't forgive for them. Absolutely not. I forgave it for me. Because you know, the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. I had to get to a place where I had to ask myself, who is Aline? Because I had lost myself so much. You know, as an abused a person, especially a sexual abuse person, you get to a place where you don't even know who you are, because the abuser speaks over you so much that it becomes a reality and a truth that only God can make you come out of that and truly hope in and have hope in God. So honestly, what I can say, and Larissa can testify to that, once you get out of that abuse, you don't get out and feel like, it wasn't your fault. No, you start actually blaming yourself. The worst person to forgive is yourself. It's easy to forgive even the perpetrator, but it's hard to forgive yourself, because a part of you feels like maybe you orchestrated it, maybe you gave the person a sign to it. So for me, I forgave all of these people for me. I had to get into a place of asking myself, who do I want Aline to be? Do I want Aline to be this bitter, angry, mad woman? Or do I want to be this loving, caring, and maybe one day have a person who will love me? And at that point, I was like, you know what? God, I can't do this without you. That's what I say. It's a journey, it's a road. I can't do this without you, but if you come with me, if you can hold my hand, I will do it. And I did it, and he held my hand, and I've got to forgive. Thank you.
Well, Larissa, there's something Alina just mentioned here. That's the reason I'm bringing you up. Is that at one point, and as somebody who has been abused, you get to a position where you're now struggling to forgive yourself. Why are you in that position? Where you are not struggling, not even to forgive, as Alina has put it, it is easy actually to forgive the guy who actually wronged you, but you're having a hard time forgiving yourself. My sister, why are you there?
That is the worst thing, and it's hard to come from there because you always think he's not normal, he's not a human being. You always
Mm.
think he's bad. Excellent. What he did, that's what he's a bad person. But you can't forgive yourself. It took me at least others, but for me, I always blamed myself. Why didn't I say? Why didn't I run away? Why didn't I die at least? Why didn't you always feel like, now what am I? I don't know. You always feel like you are no longer normal, like you are normal, and you deserve that because you didn't do anything. You feel like you deserve what you're to because you didn't do anything. It's your fault. Sometimes even that those places you what you're saying is not true. That is not true. And that's actually it is something which happened that sometimes you want to believe it's not true. You are lying. It didn't happen. You understand? So it's very terrible to think that thing happened.
Oh, so the
And
position where even somebody actually denying that whatever happened to you did not actually happen.
yes, you yourself, you feel like it didn't happen. You
Also, you are the one who's denying, not even the perpetrator. It's actually you are the one who's
Yes,
denying.
even you yourself, you feel like I'm lying. When you know it happened, but you reach the extent you feel like this it happened to me. I'm lying,
Uh,
even I'm making things big for nothing. Yeah.
wow. Okay. Larissa is
Um,
making
um,
it.
I'm having difficult actually to listen to Larissa.
Oh, okay. She was saying part of the reason why she was really struggling with forgiveness was that it gets to a position even as a person you think like this did not happen to me. It's like you know it happened, but no, it's a lie and everything like that. And whatever Aline was saying earlier, that we get into a position where you really struggle in it, but eventually you get to that position of forgiveness. And Josiane, I wanted to ask you something. While did you blame yourself for whatever happened to you? Did you feel like it was your fault? Did you struggle with you forgiving yourself for that? Because the two ladies just before you have just brought some Aline and Larissa have said sometimes if somebody who has been wrong, you feel like it kind of is your fault because had you done something different, you wouldn't be in, let's put the terminology, you wouldn't be in this mess if you had approached it differently. So were you in the same kind of the kind of the time the word that's coming in Swahili is vuta ni kuvute, as in it's a struggle between yourself and them. So your conscience is struggling with it. Were you in that position? Oh, Josiane, you're on mute. We are really feeling the nice wording, but we are not hearing the impact of your answer. Please unmute so that we can at least feel the depth of your answer. Thank you.
So my forgiving journey is like in two parts. I had to forgive those people who killed my entire family.
Mm-hmm.
I had to forgive that marriage, that my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
So, like saying that, and when I started forgiving, I said, let me do it for myself. So, in
Okay.
that journey of seeking the peace of my mind, is where now I encountered with Jesus, and then Jesus now started revealing me how they are not themselves. Yeah, I have explained before. So
Mm-hmm.
now having a remorse is what you're asking. If I have like kind of a remorse, if I have
As
forgiven.
in, I'm asking, forgive me the other ones, you're okay. Did you have a problem? Did you feel like it was your fault, so you had to learn to forgive yourself? That's what I'm asking for yourself.
No, not really. Not really,
Or you
because
not?
what I'm telling you is like I got a grace. It
Okay.
comes like automatic in my heart.
Okay.
Yeah, it has becoming like so easy. That grace on my life, that God who give me that strength of forgiving. It comes like something that can fall on your head. The day to day you say, "Oh my God, you know what? Now I am free." Oh, you know what? Because I know I don't believe there are those people. I believe on the reason why. I don't believe in that person. So from that perspective, it becomes easy for me to say, "Oh my God, now I live so freely. I don't have any burden." You see, was kind
Okay.
of yeah. Instead, I become so proud of myself.
I think in this road, Josiane is like so far in this road of forgiveness. As it
I
comes
think
naturally.
I was about to say she's like 50 miles ahead of all of us.
It's
She's like
okay.
the
Almost,
Buddha.
she's
She's like the
almost on the
sensei.
other
She's like the
side.
sensei. She's like our little sensei for the road. I mean, wow.
It's a journey. It's
Okay.
okay.
She's very close to she's close
The
to
good.
heaven.
You're close
You
to the
know,
other side, as in, yes.
there's something I was going to ask Josiane, if you may allow, because it seems
Please.
like you forgave your ex-husband, you forgave his in-laws. How did you manage to forgive the people that killed your mother and your siblings? Have you gotten to like what was the process? Was it also as easy? I won't say easy, but as
Was it the same
supernatural.
formula? Is it that same kind of formula?
Yeah.
As in, did you
Was
apply
it
the
the
same
same?
formula for that
Because
forgiveness?
I'm very curious to know, is was it like the same formula that you used that to forgive them, because I'm amazed. I'm really, I mean, I'm just speechless to see how like you handle the betrayal, the pain, the like the all these things with so much grace. Like, how did you? I mean,
No, I'm
yeah.
getting you. I'm getting you.
I, I think the question, you see, it's, I get Aline where it's coming from. It's like you're trying to wrap your head around this whole.
I
I
don't even
know.
know how to ask my question. I'm lost.
Josiane, did
I'm
you
getting,
understand that
yes,
rambling from Aline?
very well. I'm getting you very well. I
Please,
don't know
please.
if you remember the story I
Yeah.
told you. That story is
Mm.
in my book
Yeah.
about my friend. Now we are my friend for 20 years back when we are in high school, boarding high school.
Mm-hmm.
The way she had a dream. That
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
dream
yes.
was yes. Do you remember that dream of my friend? So now
You
my
can you
friend.
say it again?
Please share the dream
Okay, my
for
friend
some of
has
us who are not
had
privy to the dream. Please share the
yes.
dream for us.
So now my friend in boarding school 20 years back, she
Mm-hmm.
had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
That dream she told me like now 6 months back from now. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell me that time.
Okay.
She had a dream that she was somewhere around the river. I was holding her hand, and then the river, how they call it, the wave.
The web, yeah.
Yeah, the wave were
Waves,
coming
yeah.
to, yes, the waves, they were coming to pick us. And then it's kind of only her, she was going to fall in that river. And then I was pulling her back. I was pulling her back. That was a dream.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I pulled her back, someone came to her. And then
Mm-hmm.
she told her that if you are not forgiving those in Hamwe who killed our people, I
Mm-hmm.
will, I will kill you. That water will take you, something like that. And then she told me that in
Mm-hmm.
boarding school, I was telling them, you guys, now was after genocide. We were still hearted. We were young. But me, within our group of friends, all Tutsis, of course, I was telling them, you know what? We have to forgive those people. They wanted us to form a group of just Tutsis kids.
Uh-huh.
But me, I was against that ideology. I said,
Okay.
let's have those Hutus as friends. Those people, they are our age mates. They didn't kill. I was telling my group of Tutsis that story. Those are our friends. Now, my friends Tutsis, they were blaming me to talk to Hutus.
Okay.
Now, I was like between them. When
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mhm.
telling,
You are the
I, I,
mediator.
I was like mediator in high school.
Oh.
That was after genocide. So
Wow.
now,
Okay.
when I started, now one of my friends, we connected like 1 year back. She told me that story. She told me, I had to forgive Hutus because a dream I had you. A voice came to me, told me, if you are not doing what Josiane is telling you, forgive those Hutus, I will kill you. She told me from that time I forgive them.
Imagine.
Now I
Imagine.
want to come to that conclusion that is a mission I have on earth. I'm
Okay.
lucky I have found my mission to teach people how to forgive. Now I am
Okay.
in my call. When I was even a young girl, I
Yeah.
had started it, but I didn't know that
Wow.
one time in life, God will tell me, you know what? Now you have to stand out to start teaching forgiveness. So God
Wow.
had to pass me through hardship
Wow.
for my life, for
I think.
myself, that I will teach exactly what I know. By the way,
Wow.
nowadays it's like I am a mediator of families. When they come to me, I say, you know what? Don't hate your husband. Don't hate your wife. So now it's kind of my mission, which started
Mhm.
early. I didn't know that
Wow.
mission started early. I did it unconsciously. I didn't know that is what God wants me to do. Now, like
Wow.
what happened in my marriage is when it comes clear. The assignment, God's assignment came clear to me. I had chosen you to do that. It's kind of, I am in my calling. Is the reason why it's easy for me. You know, when you are wearing a shoes of your size, it fits you
Yeah.
well. You walk nicely. But when you are wearing a shoes which is not your size, it hurts a lot. It means now,
walk, literally walk a mile in my shoes. As in, if
yes,
it's the
I am
perfect
in
shoe
my
size,
shoes.
you can walk
Is
the
the
It's
mile.
reason why,
No
measured.
pressure.
Yeah.
yes, it's
So
for me now.
you were not
Is the reason
wearing
why,
your shoes.
I think we all.
Are you
I think at this rate. I think at this rate, me I'm going with
is it
me going
is
forward.
it
Me going,
insinuating?
yeah,
Is
yeah.
it insinuating that it was not putting on her own shoes?
when it
She's
comes
actually putting her shoes.
now,
I
That
I said being in my core is where I compare like being in my shoes.
as in it's her
uh-huh.
call.
For you, it
Her
might be
part in her
sound a
life
bit
is to
hard,
do this one.
Okay.
Yes.
yes, but for me, it sounds a bit hard for me. But for me, it's like a something when you are in
Just
your core, when you are doing what God,
it
God
just clicks.
provides even tools. When we are doing what God called you to do on earth, He provides even tools. He provides that grace. He provides that heart. He provides everything. God, when He gives you a mission, He gives you even tools. How faithful our God is.
Wow. I feel like right
May,
now
may
going
I
forward
ask
in
a
my
question?
please, Auntie.
Mr.
At this rate, I think Josiane is really
I, I
like
want to ask my question also goes to
yes,
Josiane.
yes.
Uh-huh.
As Christian, is she aware that God doesn't like divorce?
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Were
But
you a Christian by then, or you become just a Christian
no,
after
no, no,
divorce?
no. I was a Christian. But if someone is coming, I need a divorce. What will you do? You will say no.
You deny
What?
it. You
No, I
deny
don't
it.
want you. I don't want you anymore. Leave me alone.
Deny it because Jesus Christ, the Lord doesn't he actually like a divorce.
I like
Harriet,
Auntie's bringing that perspective of we have to make this one now. I'm not leaving. We are in this together till the end.
By fire, by force, you stay.
By fire, by fire, by force. But I like
The Bible says,
Okay.
unfortunately, nowadays, in
mm,
democracy, it doesn't
mm.
work by fire and force.
So you have to play nice.
Yeah.
I think Josiane, that shows something else about you. I think going forward in my life, I'll be like, you see, what will somebody do? I think in my head will be like
What
inside my
will
head,
Josiane do?
there's like a small Josiane on my left telling me like, forgive them. It is good, forgive them and be nice to them. As in, cause wow, hands
To
down,
me, she's the
even
representation of
It's
this
an
topic.
assignment. It's an assignment. I mean,
as in,
I'm doing my
I
assignment.
think
Is the reason why it's easier.
to quote Josiane, it will be like it is the right if the right shoes fit, just wear the shoe. As in, it shouldn't be hard. As in
She
the way
was
she
just on her, not her
I've been
own shoes.
wearing the wrong shoe. I've been wearing the wrong shoe for a long
me,
time.
me, have been, me, have been, me have been working with heels at this rate because clearly I'm balancing.
No, 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 no. When it comes to you to forgive, it's like the way you can have many pair of shoes. Just buy
Uh-huh.
another shoes, which is
So you
called for
just find
forgiving,
Larissa,
forgiveness.
have you found the right pair as Josiane would like to put it?
That's
Have you
called
do you have the
forgiveness.
right pair?
Research.
Or are you like Aline working with a different shoe size? You are supposed to be a
I'm
size
wearing
6, but you
different
are doing a
size.
size 7. You are like 6 sizes away from you. Are you there?
no, maybe mine are not clean, but I have them. It's just a matter of cleaning them.
Larissa is not ready to put on her shoes. Auntie, what about you? When you're talking about forgiveness, have you found the right shoe for you, or are you like us, the rest of us, going through that closet looking for the shoe to fit in?
No, I found mine.
Oh, you found the shoe. I think it's
Yeah.
official. I think it's
No,
official for my
I found
panelists
mine.
downstairs. They have the shoes. For us up here, we're really
Thank
struggling with our shoes. We are looking for the
We
right
need help.
But that is on a lighter note. That is really on a lighter note.
Now. Mm-hmm.
But wow,
I mean,
I think
I'm just having a question with these two women that have found their shoes.
yes, please ask.
I mean, you've lived in Rwanda after the genocide.
Mm-hmm.
So like, so when I went to Butare, the reason why I'm about to ask you a question, but I'm going to put a context to it. When I went to Rwanda in 2012, I went back to the house where my father lived, and then I went to meet some of the friends of my father that were alive. And one of them said something to me that really like that is still like roaming in my mind. She said, "You are so blessed. You are coming into a Rwanda where everybody has their life together, where people are back into their homes, where some people got to bury their loved ones, where some people got to start afresh, like a new life. Uh, not in a good way, but try to say, okay, we need to move forward. We can't stay in the same pain, but we need to move forward." So you two, you were in Rwanda when all of this was happening, like after the genocide happened, where people were going and booking people's houses and say, okay, this is booked, and saying, for example, this house is mine, but that house is not yours, but you just got a mansion for yourself because nobody else is there to claim it. How did you, like, for me is, I know forgiveness is a path and it's a road, but to this day I'm still like wondering, like, for somebody who was there, how long did it take you to live with the people that killed people around you, that to go in the same market with those people, to go outside of your house, and they just come out of their houses and they say hi, like, how did you manage? Because auntie, you were there during the gachacha court, and even after the gachacha court when those people were released, like, how did you manage to, can you help me ask that question? Like, I'm not a good moderator. Like, how did
Okay,
you?
how did as in how did you? Let me put it this way. There's some for those who were with us during the first tour when we did first live. There was one of our speaker, Jim, put it very well. You see, he felt like he has forgiven somebody, but how do you meet somebody in the middle of the street and you're like, I've actually have forgiven you. Because you see, for Aline, is like she's from her comfort far away from these people, and she's not in Butari. She can't be this person. How do you go to the market, auntie, and know that
And
this guy
if
who's
let's
buying the guy who's buying tomato next to me is actually the reason I'm a widow.
Will you excuse me that my phone is going down? I mean the tablet.
Okay,
Let me
okay,
bring a power bank. Huh?
okay,
Sorry.
okay, auntie. Okay. While I wait for auntie, I want to go to Josiane. There's something you talk about when people are trying to form their small group of let's the Tutsis stay on our corner, let's the Hutus stay on the corner. How are you able to come and go past the hatred? Because basically, whatever Aline is looking for, some we might not want to accept it as people, but we get to a position of hatred. We do all get there. We are humans, by the end of the day. How do you get past that hatred part and just go to the other side?
you unmute.
Josiane, Josiane again. Give us
So
momentum
sorry, so sorry.
audio, please.
So I was saying again, I am human being, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Even after genocide, when we went just after where we were hiding, after now we knew that now is everything is done. RPF in the country, we are no more people. They are not killing us. Where we went, I was in Nyamirambo. We
Mm-hmm.
were meeting those people. when we were hiding, we were seeing them with machete going around. Now, meeting him, you know, there are people who came to just take them just to revenge. You know, I found in him. I say, dear, we don't have that grace of killing.
Yes.
Let's give them to the justice. You know, people wanted us to go to kill them. I say, surely can we kill? Surely can you kill a human being? I remember there is even someone who came to tell us that person, we have to kill him tonight. You know, that person in our neighborhood is someone who had killed people. But me, I said, do you think we have that grace of killing? Do you think that we can do it? Even though they give me someone here who killed my mother, ask him, kill him. I can't. I couldn't even raise a button to him. So I said, it comes clearly in my mind to say that, you know what? Let's hand them to the justice. Just like after 2 days after genocide, I met them. So I said even I wanted even to beat him at least one bunch, but I couldn't. Of course, my heart was so hurt, but I said the right decision. Just let's hand them to the justice. Was of course so hard to make them, in charge before the church come, before they are jailed. So hard to make them in charge. I remember there is a day I went out from the church. I say, surely, are we still praying the same God? I remember I just went out from the when they came as the whole family, you know, as the whole family coming to sit in front of church. That time was in Catholic church. I said, oh wow, they are still all of them. They are so nice. The way my family used to be. Now I know they are the one who put us on the list of killers to be killed. Who was the one leading them. You know those intellectual people, they didn't go with the machete. They were planning behind the scene. So when I saw him in the church, I couldn't attend that mass. I said, you know what? Them really, surely, that time I was saying, is it the same God we are praying? Because I knew what is in his heart. But again, it was hard to meet them. But again, I believed was a justice work. The rest was not my work to deal with it. I had to deal with my heart, how I had to forgive them, or how I have to deal with them. But I believe that the rest was for justice.
Wow. Okay. Auntie, any additional words before I close this session? Because wow, okay. I don't think we can add anything to what you guys are saying. But Auntie, at least if you can have a part, as in one last party, okay. As in unmute first, Auntie. Unmute first, unmute first, unmute first.
Auntie, you are on mute.
Auntie, on mute. You're giving me good wisdoms, but I'm not hearing them.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, yes, now we can hear you.
Going back to the question Aline asked me and Josiane.
Yes.
First and foremost, my conviction was that Tutsi and the Hutus belong to the same country. Leave alone the past of the bad regimes that teached or propagated that Hutus, I mean Tutsis, don't belong to Rwanda. They came from Ethiopia, and most of the Hutus, maybe some theories tell us that they come from Cameroon. They just met in the country. Well, let me assume or let me believe that maybe Tutsis came from somewhere else and Hutus came from somewhere else. But then when they found themselves in this country, they formed a country called Rwanda. So I knew that a Hutu and a Tutsi belong to the same country. More to that, they have got same culture. They speak only one language. So I had to cope with it. I had to learn about tolerating other people, the Hutus by then. I knew I have to tolerate them because whether I like it or not, this country belongs to both of us. That means we are going to stay together. We are going to work together. We are going to meet in the market. We are going to meet in the church. If at all, I still believe going to the church. By the way, there are some churches even where in the middle of the services where they ask people to exchange hands. Yeah? I mean the Catholics, I think.
Yes. Where you greet your neighbor.
To wish your neighbor peace. Yeah?
Yes, may the peace be with you.
And people here, they were really being challenged. When you turn around, you see that a Hutu is just your neighbor in the church. You just turn around and you don't give him or her your hand. And that's why people never wanted even to go back to the churches, because they knew that the father, before releasing the Christians, he will be asking them to exchange their hands in a peaceful way. So most of the people never wanted to go back to the churches because of that. Then I had a principal like Harriet. I had a principal. Yes, I will work with them. I will sit with them. We are going to be together on business, whatever. But then I had a principle of not joining them in the whatever they are celebrating. Let it be a wedding, let it be a baptism, let it be whatever, where they want to meet and gather and celebrate. I made a principle of my own that I will never attend their invitation. I'm talking about that period after genocide, immediately.
Yeah.
That period.
That period after genocide, immediately. You see, you know, I actually joined the politics in '95.
Oh, okay.
Just immediately after genocide. So it also kept me in another person. Because I was to be a good leader. He gives a good example.
Okay.
So I had to try all my best to be a good example, to preach about reconciliation, to preach about forgiveness, to preach about tolerance in Rwandans. So before going to the Rwandese, before going to the citizen, before going to the grassroots to talk about it, so I had to shape myself, to practice it, how I will be meeting these people, how I will be talking to them. And sometimes I may also try to pretend, and afterwards, when I go back, my heart starts beating. That's when I told you I started the journey of forgiving, because I had to do it on my own good.
Okay.
So I decided not to go with that pretense.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever I do, I have to do it for the good of myself, the good of my country, and for those people also. So I made a decision actually to turn away my back. Do you remember I told you even the first time I entered the parliament, the
Yes.
first day?
Yes, I remember the story. You had
I,
a
I,
struggle.
I was
You had a
convinced. I
struggle
was
saying hi to the
Yeah,
somebody from
I
the other
was
political
convinced that RPF had already won the battle, the
Mm-hmm.
war on its own. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
it will not come back and mingle up with the Hutus who had already killed us. We were just victims there. We were survivors. I never thought of entering the parliament and a big institution like that one, and then find myself with the Hutus inside it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it. Why should they be in the parliament?
Okay.
Because RPF has fought and it had won the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So why should it bring these people to the parliament or to the government? That was the question I was asking myself. And it took me several months, just passing by
Without saying even hello.
just passing by them, just looking forward and cross and go to my seat and sit and wait for taking floor, whatever I want to talk, but not saying hello to them, not shaking hands with them. And actually, most of them, they knew that they couldn't even talk to me, look in my eyes, because I had that anger, that bitterness, whatever. Oh, it was terrible. Then
Okay.
I decided I can't go forward like this. So it was not easy for us. It was not easy for me, but also that journey of being also in politics for a long time, it helped. It shaped me. It shaped me. We had our own His Excellency Paul Kagame, who was determined to unite Rwandans. Of course, he had to preach about peace and the reconciliation, and he needed our support, and we needed his support also.
Okay.
So it helped me to shape very quickly the person whom I wanted to come, and the leader whom my country wanted me to come also, to become.
Okay.
That's what I can say about it. So
Thank
the
you for that.
Gachacha problem, we talked about Gachacha last time, where we were forced, whether we like it or not. It
You had
was
to start somewhere.
It was a homegrown solution that everyone had to attend, to sit under a tree and talk about all your disputes, and talk about genocide, and talk about how it happened, and listen. So all those efforts brought us together, at least to tolerate. Whether I may not love you, I may not invite you in my wedding or in my ceremony, whatever celebrations I'm having, I may not invite you in my home, but then I have to tolerate you. I have to tolerate you, and I don't have to deny your rights.
Yes.
Because we had made a decision to be a different society, a different society, a different one from the bad regime we had before genocide.
Okay.
And actually, it is the one the guidelines you had, the principles you had, it helps us to be where we are today
Okay.
as a country.
Okay. Aline, I hope that one has helped to clear out some of the questions you had. And
Absolutely.
perfect, even
Thank you.
perfect. Now, before we leave, was done, but you know I cannot leave. Larissa, before you go away with me, I need you to at least, if you can give me your closing remarks regarding the road to forgiveness from Larissa's text, from as you put it in your blog, BAHO with Larissa, from BAHO with Larissa's perspective of forgiveness.
Yeah, BAHO.
Yes, Larissa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Uh, Forgiveness is not easy, but it's possible. It's not. So we must live, and we can't live without forgiving because we can't live alone. We should live with others, and there is no one who can live with them without when we have disputes among us. So we should set our differences and live together. So we should live a wholesome life. There are people who are living, but they are living not like they're dead alive. They need they're not living so they will be there. So troubles, difficulties, lead us to forgive. I remember me, I used to say, before I used to say people are bad and born again are good. I happened to meet someone who was very good and a very good friend, but he also disappointed. So I turned around, my coat, and I was like, no, born again are good, but only the women. Men are also bad in that. So I recently happened to talk to someone also, and there was a lady who used to pretend. So I also said, everyone is bad now. So with those steps, I try to trust in people. Sometimes look for where to hide a refuge and say, I can deal with this, I can never deal with this because these are bad and these are good. But I realize there is someone who is good. We can only learn to live with everyone. However, we are not thinking the same way, we are not living the same way, we don't have the same characters. We can only live with them if we accept and allow love them and forgive them. So we must forgive to live. We must try our best, and God will do the rest. And He said, just make one step and do the 99. So we must live and live a wholesome life full of hope and success. I wish everyone can understand that we need to forgive, we need to live with others, and we need to live with them without fights. Because if we don't forgive, again we fight tomorrow, again we will have problems tomorrow. So we should forgive them not only for what they have done, but for also what they will do. Thank you.
Thank you for that. For those who are not hearing clearly, she said we should forgive for those what they have done and what they have not done yet. I think those are really powerful words to actually
Wow.
end this session on. And for those who took time to join us today, we'd like to say thank you. I know it was not easy sitting here talking about forgiveness, but I'll quote each of my speakers. They were forced to sit in gachacha to go through the healing process. And I believe for you to forgive, you have to start somewhere. The terminology being forced is actually doing something very, very simple is that we have gotten to a position as a people, we need to start from somewhere. And if we can start from somewhere, at least we know we are making the right decision. Aline put it very nicely that for the next couple of days, it will be easier to forgive. You have to forgive them for you. Josiane said it very best. Just look for the shoe and let it fit inside you. So for those who have time, for those who are struggling with forgiveness, for those who just fast forward till the conclusion, our conclusion is very simple. We are all in this road to forgiveness, and we are all trying to get to that position of forgiveness. We have not
Yeah.
achieved it yet. We have not. We not. No, none of us is perfect. And Tiare has put it. At one point, she was struggling it. At one point, she had to stay away from them. But until she got to a position where she forgave them fully, is when she was able to do even work with them in the parliament and able to do with that one. Larissa said she had to forgive that one to get there. Aline had to learn to forgive herself. So, wherever you're going through, the word of encouragement for us, the road for forgiveness is not straight, it is not, it is a complicated road. My Rwandese friends have put it where being Rwanda to forgive is a whole different conversation. So forgiveness is a Rwanda conversation of complication. But at least,
Yes.
at least if you can start somewhere, the one thing all of my survivors have showed me is one thing: you need to start somewhere. For Auntie Harriet was simple saying hello to somebody against the street. For Josiane was to look at them from the Lord's point of view. From Larissa, it was a point of healing. For Aline, it was start to be with me. I've been your host, Kennedy Maikuma, and I want to thank you for everything you guys are doing. I understand forgiveness is hard, but you have to start somewhere. Please don't give up. There's still hope out there. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time to stay with us. Share it with your friends and with your family. And with that few remarks, have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Good night. And from my
Thank you.
visitors, we want to say bye and thank you for everything. Have a lovely day.
Thank
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Asante.
Bye.
Okay, good day. Thank you very
thank
much.
you.